And to shoot it, Jon McGlocklin from Indiana. McGlocklin shoots. Switch. That was McGlocklin again, making a fine move. McGlocklin in heavy traffic.
The Milwaukee Bucks are champions of the world! The Milwaukee Bucks are the world champions!
And Jon McGlocklin, the original Buck, put you there for every bounce of the ball.
Let him get hot, and he can light you up. Junior Bridgman.
A magnificent effort by Sidney Moncrief.
Robinson step back three. Yes! Oh, yes! Doggy! Robinson! Doggy! He's an all-star! Doggy!
What a great night for you. You get a career-high 43 points. Practice all summer long, and we go to training camp just at moments like this right here.
Bucks will have their highest scoring half right here.
Yeah! Struck my headset.
At least it's not because you were angry with me.
Think I'm emotional over here?
When Washington scores, the points come from
Andrew Bogut.
Happy 29th anniversary to the MaccFund and Jon McGlocklin. They've raised over $25 million in the 29-year history of Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer, and the cure rate has gone up from 25% that first year to nearly 80%. Jon, thank you for all your great work.
I learned as a young boy growing up in Indiana. I was a basketball player from the time I can remember. And in the 50s and 60s and 70s in Indiana, it was a one-class system, and basketball ruled. And I was just a basketball player, small town Indiana, like the movie Hoosiers. A little bit bigger town than that, but my story is like that. Hi, my name is Jon McGlocklin, and I'm co-founder of the MaccFund. It was in my heart. It's just something that came from within. God gave me a physical ability, but He gave me a physical ability to commit. I had it here and here, and so I would spend hours on my dirt court in my backyard playing basketball, and it's just the truth. Did I get some football in there and some track and some baseball? Yeah, but it was basketball continually, and I never thought about professional. It didn't enter my mind because there were only 9 NBA teams with 10 players on a team when I came into the NBA. So growing up, that's all there were, and there weren't millions of dollars, and it wasn't on television and like it is today. I just wanted to be one of the best players that ever played in the state of Indiana and go to college on a scholarship and get an education and go into the world. That was my drive. But I always had motivation that came from here, and then I was able to give a commitment and then take action. Well, that's the same thing that you do in business, you do as an announcer, or you do with your commitment to the MaccFund. I pray every day and thank God for the friends, the family, and then the acquaintances through my life. And I look at my life and say, well, I mean, I wasn't that bright. I wasn't a great student, so how did I even get to Indiana and then graduate in 4 years? Hard work. And I didn't know what was in front of me with this route that I believe God was taking me, but I look at how difficult life could be in the NBA, especially then. And remember what I just said, in the year I came in 1965, there were 9 teams. There were 10 players on a team. There were 90 pro players in the world. If you look at my draft, NBA draft in '65, I was the 24th pick, 3rd round. Well, today, there's 30 teams. That's the first round. Would I have been? I like to think I would have.
Jon McGlocklin from Indiana. McGlocklin shoots. Whips. That's baby from 18 feet out, and this one's flat out. That was McGlocklin again, taking a fine move. McGlocklin, he shoots outside. In heavy traffic, that's as close as they've guarded him, and he makes his first field goal. McGlocklin, he pulls up with jumper, and it's
in front of me and even behind me, there are 25 All-Stars from that draft year. So to go to the Royals and make it, and then be expanded to San Diego because my coach in Cincinnati went to San Diego to coach and took me in expansion. And I have this opportunity, doing fine, and then realize this isn't the place for me because our coach there was never happy with the guards, always changing the guard. Well, I realized then, well, now wait, he had just coached Oscar Robertson for 10 years. There ain't no Oscar Robertsons in the 7 of us. So I realized I better get out of here, and then Milwaukee picked me. Pam and I wanted to be picked by Milwaukee. The other team was Phoenix. So why would you want to come to Wisconsin when you can go to Arizona? That didn't matter to me then. What mattered was where I was playing. We wanted here because of Midwest. We're Midwesterners. And John Erickson, who had coached at the University of Wisconsin for many years that I played against, he was our general manager. And I felt like I knew him. So I was picked by the Bucks. So what's interesting is we come here, drive in from San Diego, and go to the corner where the Milwaukee Bucks office is. It's a Dunkin' Donut today. It's on the corner of Wisconsin and 8th or something. Pam and I are standing on the corner. She's 6 months pregnant. And here comes a guy across the street that I just noticed. And I don't know how, he's a little guy. And he's kind of walking like I think Jimmy Stewart used to walk, the actor. Walk here, we go over. He goes into the Bucks office with us. It was Eddie Doucette. My buddy all these years. First person I met in Milwaukee was Eddie Doucette.
And it was my pleasure to broadcast Bucks basketball.
Warner gets the rebound of the deflected shot against that Roddy.
And my broadcast partner?
He has a great community involvement with the MaccFund, and the things that he does on the TV are the things that allow him to stay visible to reinforce the things that he's doing. And he took the lesson well, and he has applied it perfectly, because he is really Mr. Buck, Mr. Community, and a tremendous representative for the city and the state.
I was at a preseason practice at a high school. We didn't have facilities like they have now. And one of the owners, Marv Fishman, who he and Wes Pavlon are responsible for bringing the Bucks here. He's there, and afterwards he goes, well, John, he says, do you think you have a chance to make the team and make the starting 5? And I go, well, sir, Mr. Fishman, I think the rest of them had better worry and see if they make the team, because I'm making it. But the point is, you know, there was no open door. Nobody knew you had to earn it. And going through 2 expansion teams is like going to war. It's combat. It's hand-to-hand combat with veterans, middle-aged guys, and young guys, walk-ons that want to make this team. So you're in hand-to-hand combat to earn one of the 12. Well, I did, and went on from there. That year made the All-Star team.
To be able to play on the All-Star team, and I think one of the things I remember the most about that, though, is in the locker room before the game, getting dressed. Bill Russell is on my right. Gus Honeycomb Johnson is on my left. Oscar's 2 stalls over. These great players, and I'm there with them. And during the game, I got in the game, only played 6 minutes, which someday I'll take up with Gene Shue. I think I should have had a few more minutes than 6, but I'm in the game, I catch it, I have a look at a shot, and I pass it. Timeout. I'm sitting on the bench, and Bill Russell goes, John, what do you do best? Well, Russ, I'm a shooter. He said, next time when you catch it, shoot it. and I did. And that was a great thrill for me to be an all-star with those great players.
I've often wondered, well, how did I get from that dirt court in that little town? I'm just a guy, you know. I wasn't great. I wasn't Oscar Robertson or Larry Bird, but I had these other drives, and I was a good player. As a pro, I was average. As a shooter, I was way above average. I was a great shooter, and that's what helped me as a pro. In the early days, the Boston Garden and New York, the old Garden, my first game there, I'm going down the floor on a fast break, and I get up here to make a pass, and there's no ball. I look back, and it's laying on the floor. It hit a dead spot and died. Well, that's how it was in those days, and everything that year went well. We didn't have injuries. We didn't have problems. We had multiple huge winning streaks, like 12 games, 15 games, you know, and on our ring it says 20 straight. We won 20 straight games, and realized that the last 10 games of the year we probably could have won 73 or 4 or 5, but we didn't try to. Coach started resting us, and we lost I don't know, about half of those games. But that team was a professional machine. I see the camaraderie that these Bucks teams have today and other teams, and I think it's wonderful, and they have it. We didn't really have that. We were very different. We had old guys, young guys, guys from UCLA, Kareem and Lucius Allen, and they were kind of more, in the current era. There were guys like me, the white guy from a little town in Indiana that sat in the middle of the bus. Oscar, who'd been around many years and was an old veteran, but yet could still do it, sitting in his room. We'd go to his room and eat buckets of fried chicken and smoke cigars on the road. Different. So off the court, we didn't all hang and be buddies. You walked in the gym, all that was checked, and it was a professional team that played together and just ate people up. We could be down 10 with 2 minutes and we knew we could win, and usually did. So it had a professional characteristic to it.
Here's Kareem Jabbar. Milwaukee leads. 6:40 to play. Oscar back to Jabbar. Slammed it. How about that? Oscar comes up with it. Pass to Allen. 2-point. And it goes to Jabbar. Slapped away, but he gets it back and missed the shot. Fulfilled. Rebounds it in full. Head coach and assistant coaches of the Lakers. The game is over. And the final score, the Milwaukee Bucks 120, the Los Angeles Lakers 104.
My first encounter with Wilt, he lifted me off the floor because I had a hold of the ball and almost dunked me. The moment they traded for Oscar, we on the team knew we're the team to beat. This is our year. I remember standing outside and there was a writer from New York that had already attached to us was going to do a book. We as the players were outside talking before we went to one of the practices, and we were talking then about this is our year.
This was Baltimore, April 30th, 1971. The happiest guys in the world, the new champs, the Milwaukee Bucks.
These guys wanted to end it tonight, and they went out and did it. That's what you had to do. You got to believe in yourself, and they really believe in themselves.
Oh, this is great, guys. Finally got it. Great guy, big fella.
Hey, Luke.
It's second down. Zeller against Webb. 20-footer Zeller forward. 3 off the rim. Zeller gets it back. 2, 1. He hits it. It's over! It's over! The Milwaukee Bucks are champions of the world! The Milwaukee Bucks are the world champions!
One of the greatest seasons any NBA team has ever had.
When you spend that many years in the NBA in other cities, on airplanes, in locker rooms with different players, being on a championship team with 2 of the 10 best players that have ever played ever. I mean, those are full of stories, but all of those things work together in my life in terms of the channel you follow. It starts with motivation, then commitment, then action. I think in the NBA, then and now, and then was more difficult because of travel. We didn't have charters, we didn't have beautiful hotels, we didn't have practice facilities. You had to do a lot on your own. And then as an announcer, and I'd traveled 33 years before we ever went charter. And we were in the Western Conference a lot, trying to fly to the West out of Milwaukee. It was a challenge. We played inside out then. Today they play outside, maybe in, mostly not in at all. It's how it's changed. Would I love that as a three-point? I could have been a three-point. Oh, I would have loved today's game more than that game, because our first thing was pass to Kareem. Pass to Kareem. Today it'd be shoot, John, shoot. When chapters end for someone, anyone, not just me or a pro athlete, but as a pro athlete, it can be very difficult. At 32 years old, it's gone. The Bucks wanted me to retire. I wanted to play one more year. But when you're making $80,000, not $800 million, you're like, dude, I really want to move my family for 1 year. And the Bucks said, we want you in the front office, we want you, and so it worked.
And I think that so far, John, they've played even better game than we saw them in Game 2, which was a big improvement over Game 1. Even though the Bucks have a 3-point lead at halftime, Atlanta's hanging right in there, and they're very aggressive going to the basket tonight.
Eddie, I don't know that Atlanta has made that many changes in regard to what they've done in Game 1 and 2.
And we would like you to work radio and TV with Eddie Doucette. And that's what I wanted to do. So I put on a shirt and tie and started going to work at 32 years old. But at that same time, Eddie and Karen Doucette, who are very close friends of ours, their first son, who was 2.5 years old, Brett, was diagnosed with acute lymphocytic leukemia. And we then started learning about childhood cancer, in particular acute lymphocytic leukemia. In learning about that, the Bucks came to me and said, well, on your retirement night, which will be December 10th, 1976, we decided we wanted to start this charity on that night. We went to the Bucks ownership, and they said, whatever you want. Here's our lawyers, here's our PR firm, what else? Well, we'd like a game, which was a preseason game that we've had all 47 years under all the ownerships.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 40th annual MacFund game given to us by the Milwaukee Bucks. Thanks for being here, everybody. I want to thank Jim Fitzgerald's group in the beginning, Senator Herb Kohl for 25 years of support. The current owners of the Milwaukee Bucks, I want to thank them for continuing this tradition of the annual MacFund game that I'm sure many of you have been to over the years. And by the way, we have now given in the fight against childhood cancer, $57 million. We have now given $65 million in the fight against childhood cancer to help raise the life for our children, thanks to the people of Wisconsin.
This is our home. I mean, we get to be Hoosiers and Cheeseheads. It's kind of hard to wear them both. I don't know what a Hoosier thing would be, but we know what a cheesehead is. How did I get from that dirt court to an NBA championship, to an NBA All-Star, to all of those things that allowed us to do the MacFund, to the announcing for 43 years? There is no doubt in my mind, because I'm a religious man, that's from God. I believe God took me, gave me all those things to get to here for the MacFund. I believe that the MacFund was the end result. And so my commitment to that is till the Lord calls me home. I was at Children's one day with my wife because one of our granddaughters had surgery. We went into the chapel to pray. We came out, you sign a book if you want, and you can write a note if you want. So we signed it, and right above us was a name and a note. That note said, God, please take my child. Do you realize the depth of despair that is? They've been through so much difficulty. We don't know that it was even cancer. We don't know what it was. That's one of those failures that motivated me. And there's many more stories like that in our world that get people behind it and get them moving.
Do you want to play the next level?
No, you can play. I'm going to just watch.
We can take turns.
No, it's okay. I want to see you do it.
I really want to take turns.
It's a family thing when a child has cancer. It affects everybody. And they're not all good stories. We're trying to make them good stories because the money we're raising is getting us closer to 100%. But beating cancer is really a difficult thing because it's got so many different factions and derivatives to it. They can solve this part of it, but haven't gotten that part of it. That first year we raised $35,000. And thanks to the continued exposure through the Bucks, radio and TV all the years following the beginning, as well as the rest of the community that got behind this.
Happy 29th anniversary to the MacFund and Jon McGlocklin. They've raised over $25 million in the 29-year history of Midwest Athletes Against Childhood Cancer, and the cure rate has gone up from 25% that first year to nearly 80%. Jon, thank you for all your great work.
We've now given over $85 million. We're approaching 90, and I'm anxious for that 100 million to say this is what we've given to research for childhood cancer, blood disorders, and sickle cell. We support all those in the research. Without research, there's no hope. With research, there's hope. And cancer parents and families need hope. And that's what they tell us the most when they come to us, and we come to them.
What's your name?
My name is Giannis. What's your name?
That's the man right there, man. Dunking, yelling. Ah. That's him.
So we're continuing this fight. I think many people in the beginning thought it might last a year or two. Well, it's 47 years. First time I met our main two owners, it was kind of like, yeah, how you doing? You know, they didn't know who me or anything. And then they found out I scored the Bucks' first basket, which I'm really proud of. And I didn't know it till about 15 years ago. I was just trying to get a job. I didn't, you know. That helped give more identity to the Mac Fund. And I care about them committing to us because the Bucks and the Mac Fund are a relationship. It's a brotherhood. So the Mac Fund's significant to the history of Milwaukee and the state of Wisconsin. The honesty of it, the reliability of it, the truth of it, the fact that the money's getting where it needs to go. Sure, we have to pay our staff. They deserve it. And that's been one of the blessings of the Mac Fund. I can't take credit for it, but it's evolved. The attitude and the truth and the honesty of that motivates people that we interact with. That's why some of these events have been with us for almost all the 47 years. It's about this when it comes to all of these things we're trying to do in terms of raising money. I've always been one, as I look back on my life, at my age you get to do that, it was the failures that motivated me. It was the failures that I got up in each of those different areas of my life and said, okay, I'm going forward and I'm going to be better. I mean, when I first came to the Bucks, they had like, I think, 6 or 7 employees. So everything's changed, but even to this day, every day I go out to have lunch or whatever I do, I'm stopped by 1 to 5 people that yell at me, Johnny Mac, this or that, or come up and want to talk. The loyalty that I have experienced of the Wisconsin people to me as a Buck and as a Buck player, and then many people come up and the first thing they say to me is Mac Fund. I can't even begin to overemphasize how important they've been and how loyal they still are. That's why there's a Mac Fund today. You've been loyal to me, but you've been loyal to the Mac Fund. The Mac Fund is yours. It's your story. You are helping us save children's lives and letting families breathe that their children are living and they're beating this disease. But we need you to continue because the beat goes on.